This episode is brought to you by San Pellegrino Ciao. A gift from Italy to your home. San Pellegrino Ciao is a flavored sparkling water made with real fruit juice, finished with a pinch of Sicilian salt for a perfectly balanced taste. So which flavor will you choose? Peach, lime, blood orange, cherry, or maybe the all-new limoncello? Crafted in Italy with 0 grams of added sugar. San Pellegrino Ciao. Buy it now.
Hey, Fidelity. Can I get a second opinion on stocks in the Fidelity app?
With Fidelity, it's easy to get an outside opinion from independent experts in a single score.
And then?
When you're ready, trade U.S. stocks and ETFs with no commissions.
That's right.
I am always right.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. $0 commission does not apply to customers designated by Fidelity as a professional equity trader. A limited number of ETFs are subject to a service fee of $100. See details at fidelity.com/commissions. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE SIPC.
Hello and welcome to the program, UFO Warning. In this episode, I want to take a look at some of these reports that have come out in this latest tranche of files that the U.S. government has released. So far, some interesting stuff, but nothing really ground-shaking. And the very first file that comes up, this is kind of the routine stuff we're seeing here. People see something, the government takes a look at it, they're interested. Why this stuff was kept secret for all these years, it's beyond me, but still some cool stuff. The files are so long and there's just so much stuff there that I went ahead and run a few of these through AI to see if it could give me a bit of a summary just to kind of, cover the material because there's so much of it there. The first one, it says, this document is a fascinating piece of early U.S. Army intelligence history. It is a 1949 Army intelligence evaluation of the flying saucer phenomena created shortly after the huge wave of UFO reports that began in 1947. The study was conducted by the Intelligence Division at the request of the Army's Plans and Operations P&O staff. Executive summary: the central question of the study was not whether flying saucers were extraterrestrial. The Army's concern was whether the reported objects represented a natural phenomena, misidentifications, secret U.S. projects, or foreign technology that could threaten national security. After reviewing available reports, Army intelligence concluded that there was no evidence that the sightings were connected to a foreign power and that most reports could be explained by conventional causes. The study specifically stated that among the cases investigated, there was no foreign national implication in the flying saucer reports. By early 1949, the United States had experienced nearly 2 years of intense public interest in flying saucers, following the famous sighting by Kenneth Arnold in June 1947. Many military intelligence agencies were receiving civilian reports, pilot reports, newspaper accounts, radio broadcasts, and intelligence field reports. Now think about that. Pilot reports and intelligence field reports. So you would think that, they might assume there's something there. The Army feared that widespread sightings might indicate Soviet technological breakthroughs or psychological warfare operations during the early years of the Cold War. The report notes that P&O requested an evaluation after a series of radio broadcasts and public discussions concerning flying saucers in February 1949. Army intelligence was tasked with determining whether the reports stemmed from natural phenomena or could be traced to the activities of a foreign power. This reveals that the military's primary concern was national defense rather than extraterrestrial visitation. Now, the main conclusions. Number one, no evidence of foreign technology. The study's strongest conclusion was that the investigation found no indication that reported flying saucers were aircraft or weapons belonging to another nation. Army intelligence considered this question important enough to document formally. This was significant because 1949 was a period of intense concern over Soviet military advances.
I wrote a little song to remind you, Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Cocktails up here feel just right. Is Cambria amazing? Alright. Bring a date, your teen, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com. See you on the roof.
Fox News is now streaming live on Fox One. When it matters most, turn to the voices you trust. We go beyond the headlines, bringing you the stories you won't hear anywhere else. Live coverage, sharp analysis, real perspective. At home or on the go, stay connected when it counts. Stream Fox News on Fox One. Download today.
Number 2, most reports had conventional explanations. The report indicates that the investigated sightings were believed to arise from misidentified aircraft, weather phenomena, astronomical objects, optical illusions, or observer error. Although the surviving scan is difficult to read in places, it says the overall conclusion clearly points toward ordinary explanations rather than the unknown craft. Now, of course, we know it only takes one that can't be explained to really throw a monkey wrench in this theory. Kind of the white crow problem. We've heard, I can't remember the fellow's name, but he always uses that as an example. You know, you can say that all crows are black, but if you find one white crow, then that's no longer true. And we have plenty of white crows as far as UFO sightings are concerned. Number 3, the Army did not consider the phenomena a threat. The document repeatedly focuses on determining whether the sightings represented a security risk. Since no foreign connection was identified, the Army appears to have viewed the matter as low priority after the study's completion. Number 4, continued monitoring was recommended. Even though the Army reached a largely skeptical conclusion, the memorandum instructed intelligence personnel to keep P&O informed if future developments differed from the evaluation's findings. In other words, the case was not considered permanently closed. This is an important detail because it shows the Army wanted ongoing surveillance of the phenomena despite its conclusions. And it says the Walter Winchell connection. One of the most interesting aspects of the file is its reference to famous broadcaster Walter Winchell. After Winchell discussed flying saucers in a radio broadcast on April 3rd, 1949, Army officials sought verification of statements made during the broadcast. Intelligence personnel were asked to review the claims and determine their accuracy. This demonstrates how seriously the military monitored influential media discussions about UFOs during the early Cold War. Why UFO researchers find this document interesting. For UFO researchers, the value of this document lies less in what it says and more in what it proves. It proves the Army was actively studying UFO reports in 1949. Many people assume government interest began later with projects like Project Sign, Project Grudge, or Project Blue. This file shows Army intelligence was also involved in evaluating the phenomena. It shows the military considered national security implications. The possibility that UFOs represented foreign technology was treated as a legitimate intelligence question worthy of investigation. It reveals the official position in 1949. The Army's documented conclusion was that reports reviewed did not indicate foreign technology and largely appeared explainable by conventional causes. It asks what the document does not say. Importantly, the document does not claim UFOs are extraterrestrial, does not claim UFOs are secret U.S. aircraft, does not describe recovered craft, does not mention recovered bodies, does not discuss alien contact, and does not provide evidence of a cover-up. Instead, it is a bureaucratic intelligence assessment focused on threat evaluation. The bottom line, well, this 1949 U.S. Army flying saucer study is early Cold War intelligence assessment showing the Army took official UFO reports seriously enough to investigate them as a potential national security issue. After reviewing available cases, investigators concluded there was no evidence linking the sightings to a foreign nation and believed most reports could be explained through conventional means. At the same time, the Army directed intelligence personnel to continue monitoring the subject in case future evidence contradicted the study's conclusions. So that kind of gives you just a rundown of this first report. You have it here, clear back in 1949, and we can kind of see the narrative being set. The Army goes in and says, sure, we did investigate this stuff, and we didn't find anything, but we'll keep looking. Kind of the same kind of line that we're getting now, almost 70, 80 years later. Pretty wild, but like they say, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Let's look at another case here. Now, this here next report is a lot more recent, actually from Colorado Springs 2022. It says the file FBI-D002-FD-1057 unresolved UAP report, Colorado Springs, is one of the more intriguing documents in the recent Pursue Release 03 because it documents a sighting by 5 U.S. Army intelligence personnel near the Cheyenne Mountain area of Colorado Springs. Isn't that where we have all the ballistic missiles at? The report itself is not an FBI investigation of a crime. Rather, it is a witness interview conducted to help an FBI forensic artist create a sketch of the object. Not so sure how I feel about the FBI investigating UFO sightings. Incident overview. The event occurred in 2022 near the Cheyenne Mountains outside Colorado Springs, an area surrounded by sensitive military installations, including NORAD, Peterson Space Force Base, Fort Carson, Shriver Space Force Base, and U.S. Air Force Academy. According to the witness statements, 5 members of the Army Intelligence Unit observed an unusual object while leaving their office. The weather conditions were described as ideal for observation: clear blue sky, no clouds, low humidity, approximately 50 degrees, excellent visibility. The witnesses, remember 5 of them, reportedly observed the object for several minutes before it disappeared. The most unusual aspect of the report is the detailed description provided by the witnesses. According to the FBI interview, the object appeared potato-shaped or bean-shaped. Now, if you go online, you can see pictures of this thing, the artist rendition. Honestly, I'm not that impressed, but just imagine this. To me, it almost looks more like the tic-tac shape that we think of. It was white to creamy white with an opalescent appearance. It appeared partially translucent. The surface shimmered slightly. It was covered with irregular geometric panels resembling fish scales. Now, this is something I've heard about in some other UFO sightings. These irregular geometric panels almost look like scales. The panels did not overlap and were not symmetrical. The panels appeared to move in slow wave-like motions across the object's surface. The witness described the object as having sharp, defined edges rather than the fuzzy appearance typically associated with clouds or atmospheric effect. The object's reported behavior is what caused the case to remain unresolved. Witnesses stated the object remained stationary. It appeared fixed relative to the mountain behind it. It did not drift like a balloon. No propulsion system was visible. No sound was heard. No contrail or exhaust was observed. One witness specifically stated that the object did not change position relative to a mountain saddle during several minutes of observation, leading him to reject the idea that it was simply drifting in the wind. So, remember, 5 military witnesses, they're seeing this potato shape, what we might call like a tic-tac shaped UFO, but it's close enough that they can see that it looks like it's covered in these kind of metallic panels, and they described it as like fish scales. They can see it close enough to see that these scales or panels are not symmetrical. So they're getting a lot of detail on this thing, and they're telling you that it's positioned here between this mountain saddle, so kind of 2 peaks of this mountain, and it's between them. So it's not like a balloon drifting or something. It's right there. The disappearance. The most controversial portion of the report concerns how the object vanished. According to witness testimony, the object was visible for approximately 2 to 5 minutes. The witnesses briefly looked away. When they looked back, the object was gone. Stop right there. The witnesses, they all 5 looked away at the same time? Why would they do that? I mean, that is so unusual. It's almost, to me, when I see that they all looked away at the same time, multiple witnesses, that tells me this thing is exerting some kind of behavior or mind control over the folks watching it. And it's not unlike a lot of these accounts that we hear about. It goes on and says, one witness described the disappearance as if the object had cloaked. There was no observed acceleration. There was no visible departure path. No shadow was noticed during the disappearance. The report does not claim the object literally used cloaking technology. Rather, that was the witness's description of how suddenly it disappeared from view. Independent witness corroboration. One of the strongest elements of the case is that multiple witnesses reportedly observed the same object. The documents state 5 Army intelligence personnel witnessed the event. Whoa. 5 Army intelligence witnesses. Now, these are guys that are trained to observe stuff, not just normal people. I mean, above and beyond, even like you might say, well, 5 police officers, 5 Army intelligence. They should have some of the best training in the world when it comes to observing something and being able to describe what they saw. That's my assumption. Afterward, they discuss possible explanations. They consider possibilities such as balloons and blimps. Each independently sketched the object from memory. Their sketches were reportedly consistent.
Suffering from dry, tired, irritated eyes? Don't let dry eyes win. Use Sustain Pro. It hydrates, restores, and protects dry eyes for up to 12 hours. Sustain Pro. Triple action dry eye relief.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
The consistency of multiple independent descriptions appears to be one reason the event attracted additional attention. These aren't 5 ordinary witnesses. These are what I would call expert witnesses because they are 5 Army intelligence personnel. FBI forensic sketch. The purpose of FD 1057 was to document an interview used by an FBI forensic artist. The artist worked with the witness to create a visual reconstruction of the object. Additional drafts were exchanged to refine the rendering. This ultimately led to a companion document, FB UAP D003, which contains the digital rendering of the reported object. The report also reveals that at least one witness was contacted by the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, where they resolved nothing, in my opinion. The witness stated he responded to the AARO inquiries in early 2024, but was never formally interviewed afterward. How about that? You have an Army intelligence employee, expert witness, they work for the Army, they're intelligence, they are contacted by AARO, but they're never interviewed. Well, how are you going to resolve something if you don't interview the guy who saw it? This is why I have so little respect for Sean Kirkpatrick and that whole bunch over there. They want to come around and say UFOs are nothing, but you can't even interview an Army intelligence witness, 5 of them. This indicates that the sighting entered the federal UAP reporting system and was reviewed at some level by the government's official UAP office. Yeah, reviewed and put right into the circular file. Send me my big fat government paycheck. Thank you very much. Why the case is considered significant. Within Release 03, this incident stands out because the multiple military witnesses reported the same object. Not just military witnesses, but military intelligence witnesses, okay? The witnesses were intelligence personnel rather than casual observers. The sighting occurred near strategically important military facilities. The object reportedly remained stationary for several minutes. The witness provided highly detailed and largely consistent descriptions. The case generated multiple government records, including FBI interviews, forensic sketches, and intelligence analysis. The document itself does not conclude that the object was extraterrestrial. Possible conventional explanations include atmospheric effects, optical illusions, unusual cloud formations, balloons, experimental aircraft, misjudgment of distance and size. They forgot drones. However, the available records indicate investigators did not have enough evidence to confidently identify the object. As a result, the case remained classified as unresolved. Yeah, no kidding. Bottom line, the Colorado Springs 2022 case is essentially a multiple witness military sighting of an unusual stationary object over the Cheyenne Mountain area. 5 Army intelligence personnel described a white, translucent, potato-shaped object covered in moving geometric panels that hovered motionless over several minutes before disappearing from view. The FBI considered the witness testimony detailed enough to commission a forensic reconstruction, and the case ultimately remained unresolved after review by federal UAP investigators. For UFO researchers, the strongest aspect of this case is not the object's shape, but the combination of multiple military witnesses, consistent descriptions, a sensitive military location, and a lack of a definitive explanation. Well, you can say that again. Now, I'm going to finish up with this last report. You can, like I said, you can find all the stuff over at the war.gov. It's not hard to find this stuff. This one has got a 49-second video with it. It's really cool. You can just see these 2 orbs going across the sky here. Now, I'm not going to get into a bunch of summary with AI on it because it's got a pretty decent summary just written right on the report. Some of these are really involved and they have a bunch of different sightings. This one here, I'll just read what it says to you. It says in July 2025 at approximately 2100 local time, so what's that, 9 o'clock at night, in the northeastern United States, an eyewitness observed an intense bright light in their backyard as they parked their car upon returning home from work. The light was hovering approximately 25 feet off the ground below a tree line near the center of their backyard. Now you can see this in the video. At an estimated distance of 90 feet, the eyewitness exited their vehicle briefly before retrieving their phone to record the event. The spouse of the eyewitness came outside to assess the situation. The spouse also witnessed the light, describing it as a brilliant red sphere about 1 meter in diameter. The center of the red sphere appeared to be a white plasma sun, quote unquote, about the size of a basketball. The orb slowly rose and moved to the left, and both eyewitnesses observed a second identical orb hovering above the other orb. So you have 2 very bright reddish-orange orbs clearly visible in this video. The orb slowly rose and moved to the left, and both eyewitnesses observed a second identical orb hovering above the other orb. The eyewitness then began recording the event using an iPhone 14 Pro Max, capturing the footage depicted in this video. As the eyewitness began recording, the orbs moved westward together about above a nearby tree line. The witnesses described the orbs' motion as silent and smooth, and as moving in tandem as though they were flying in a formation or tethered together. As the orbs moved out of sight, both eyewitnesses saw them appear to merge. The eyewitnesses estimated that the orbs moved from their initial position before disappearing from view at an estimated distance of 75 yards. This observation occurred within 25 miles of the triangle orbs, red orb rotation, and orbs over the pond sightings at a location well known to them, which is sparsely populated. So we have an area where these orbs apparently are a common thing. The description above is derived from statements provided to the Federal Bureau of Investigations by eyewitnesses to the event. The FBI assesses the individuals who reported this event as credible. The subject matter described in the files FBI UAP D0009 through FBI UAP D010 and depicted in the video footage FBI UAP PR004 corresponds to reports originating from the same general area in the northeastern United States. That is wild. What a cool sighting. Well, there's just 3 of them that came off this. So far, we don't have gangbuster revelations, but we're getting into it. We're seeing in that first file how things kind of start in 1949, very methodically investigated by the U.S. Army. They say most of these things can be explained away. They're mostly worried about security. They realize the Russians and the Chinese can't make this stuff early on, so they kind of put it on the back burner. And then we have this thing with, well, what the media is calling today the potato UFO over Colorado, where you have 5 different Army intelligence personnel all witness the same thing. Looks a lot like a classic Tic Tac to me. But there it is over the mountains, and they can see it, and they can see it in great detail. Still unresolved. And then we have this third one we talk about here with what they're saying from northeastern United States, where a couple of people go out in their backyard and they see these 2 orbs. And they have the video right there. You can see the video on the site, which is really high quality 49-second video. And they're telling us this isn't the only time these things happen around here. This is an area that's known for orb sightings. So whether this is some kind of natural phenomena or something interdimensional, extraterrestrial, whatever, we don't know. But it is happening. So I think the best thing about the government releasing this stuff is maybe just to get people talking about it, get people comfortable with the idea that these things do exist. We don't know what they are. We all have our own opinions, and it's out there for us to look about and talk about. Until next time, this is UFO Warning. Over and out.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.